And welcome to the If They Can Do It podcast, the podcast that interviews absolutely ordinary people who do extraordinary things and wants you walking away thinking, hey, if they can do it, so can I. And this episode, y'all, this episode, I have to be honest, there are those people in life who you meet, and in this case, I think before we hit record, we counted like 16 or 17 years ago. You meet somebody, and it's in a green room at a comedy club, and you're both trying to write a whole bunch of funny stuff. It's about 60-40 on what is actually funny and what isn't at the time, but you're learning your craft, you're learning, you're doing it, and you come to respect this person. You follow people on Facebook, and 17 years later, you look back and you see their story and you're like, oh my gosh, what happened? This is awesome. This is fantastic. And you just get curious and you hit them up and say, hey, here's what I've seen. Do you want to come on the podcast and talk about it? Because I remember we had a great time together inside of a lot of comedy clubs, and that is this person this year.
That's
Jodee,
my son.
how's it going? Hey, how's it going?
Go away.
I just wanted to let you know I think the whole basketball.
Hey, and since then, I mean, I think you just became a mom, Jodee, like when we first met. I think.
Oh, no. I was a single mom before I started doing comedy, actually.
Okay. All right.
That was kind of my walking off a cliff moment because I didn't have anything else to lose. So I was like, I've always wanted to try this. I think I'll try it.
Yeah. And is that what made you hop on stage for the first time?
Pretty much. I mean, I don't know. I think a lot of times comedians, when their entire lives completely fall apart, we're just a bunch of sad clowns. So... And yeah, I had nothing else to lose and found, some courage in that. I had to leave a very abusive marriage and I had a 1-year-old and kind of took it from there. But he ended up being my meal ticket, my oldest, because all the jokes that I wrote were about being a single mom.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember, and we were did we start at the same time or were you?
I think you started before me. I started in September of 2008-ish.
Okay.
Around then. Yeah. When did you start?
Yes. Like it would have been like maybe by months. Like it wouldn't have been very long. It would have been like, oh yeah, I did a couple years before you. No, that was not the case. It was probably maybe by months in the same year.
Yeah.
So you get off the stage the first time. Were you hooked? Did you catch the bug? Or
oh yeah. I think it was at Blue Cow or whatever it's called, and it was a bringer show. So obviously you have a lot of like support in the audience, but it seemed to go okay. I mean, it's horribly embarrassing. I think I have a video of it somewhere because I'm like, oh god, that's just absolute crap. But but it gave me enough like reaction, so I was like motivated to get better and get out there and do more of it. I don't know if you remember Elliot, but we have known each other since we were kids, and like we started on the same night, and it was we were hooked from the very beginning because we both didn't completely bomb.
Yeah, right.
Even though we probably should have.
Yeah, no, I remember I had started because I went to a New Faces night, and I was in the audience. And after seeing, I mean, you know how New Faces nights can go, some nights doing that. And at the end, I was like, you know what? I have some jokes in my back pocket because I had done speech and debate in college and stuff. And I'm like, I have some like one-liners I could just kind of adapt and like rewrite, for this medium and do it. I'm like, I bet you I could do 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And so started it, and it was just a blast. Like I wasn't performing anymore. I wasn't, because I did like acting and like that kind of stuff before. And I was like, I can do this. This will be a lot of fun. Hey. I could totally do this and have fun doing it. And then next thing you know, just got on the list for Comedy Works and did the thing.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of fun. If there's one thing about comedy, though,
James,
it is a practice in like being comfortable in your own skin.
Yeah.
Because you get to, if you try to be anything other than yourself, audiences smell it. It has a smell to it, you know?
Yes.
Like for me, I could tell I was never going to be like that raunchy kind of squire, you know, give me the crowd with, you know, crackheads and hipsters in a dive bar, you know, kind of thing.
Oh,
like,
those squire days. Those were wild. That was fun. I kind of went down the raunchy path and regret it. Should have been writing cleaner material, but it worked while it did.
Were you able to pull it off?
Oh yeah. I was on the Almost Famous list, and then kind of fell off for a little bit because I had my second son, and then I got back into it, was like really getting back after it, and
yeah.
And then COVID happened, and then everybody just kind of, yeah. I mean, I think you read my walkaway story. Yeah.
No, that's it's super interesting, because if I would have, and it's always tempting to kind of be like, these are the kind of things people laugh at, right? Like, these are the kind of things, if I would have went down that road, it totally would have been like Simba trying to find his roar. Like, oh, that was cute. You said this or that or the other. And it takes, I mean, comedy is one of those things. It's like the ultimate test in self-awareness.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, I don't know. I started writing like crazy. And before I met my husband, I was working every single night. I was like also working as like a customer service agent at the airport. I was doing all the things. When I look back, I don't even know how I had the energy, but I was able to establish myself in comedy. People actually used to like me back in the day when I wasn't doing all the wrong things.
Yeah. So tell me about that, because I mean, there's a big part of so many of our stories, you know, usually goes, and then COVID, and then, 2020, and being a comedian and doing what we did and do, we are kind of like the chefs of like controversy and looking at thoughts and societal norms and all that kind of stuff in different ways. And it's been it's the art form that does that, right? And it's safe to do that because it's a joke, but that joke made me think, and because I laughed, it let me internalize it in a way that like maybe a political debate wouldn't.
Right.
You know, and accept it in a different way. But 2020 and the current political climate, I think, has changed things. So before we get too much into that, like, what happened in 2020? Give us some of your backstory. So you're doing comedy, and then COVID, comma.
Well, I started working for my dad. He had won a vacancy committee when the Republican House rep for House District 38 left because she had some Trump appointed position, and it was always a really super red district, and so he won that vacancy committee, and he offered me a job to work as his legislative aide because he knew that I had worked in politics a lot in the past, and I used to work for Governor Owens. I was a policy advisor in 2004, 2005, 2006. And, but he knew that I was always libtard, and he's always been a Republican, but he knows, like, we love and trust each other. So that's usually what reps do. They hire like a family member to be their aide because you really need to be able to trust your legislative aide. So I wouldn't even put it in the nepotism category because you make like dick squat being an aide. But so I was hired on, and I I just really started to see things from a conservative perspective, especially when the lockdowns happened. And you would think that there would be like zombies in the streets for how severely the world shut down.
Yeah.
And I guess I've always just had more of like a libertarian spirit or whatever, even though, but like, I mean, have my qualms with libertarianism, but I was just shocked that everyone just kind of and went along with it. I'm like, this is entirely unconstitutional. This is insane. Why
Yeah.
is nobody pushing back against this? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not seeing anything that looks even real. You know, all these people like, oh, everyone's gonna die, but like nobody was dying, and it was not the way that they portrayed it. And then, yeah, I mean, I could kind of just fast forward through all that, but basically, it wasn't until the whole George Floyd riots started happening that I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
I mean, I was getting like spit at, I was getting garbage thrown at me. Because I, worked at the Capitol, and that's when like all of like the organizations that aren't organizations were spray painting shit all over like the side of the state Capitol building, which is basically my office. And I had the audacity to, gently remind people. I did a Facebook post where I was like, you guys do realize that spray painting a hammer and sickle on the side of the Capitol building is not going to solve racism.
Mm-hmm.
And the reaction that I got from that was like, I might as well have been like wearing a white hood and like burning crosses on people's lawns. Like it just, everything was so like I mean, it was just so, you remember it was such an angry time, and everyone just really, really wanted to be the good person that was like saving grandmas, the good person that was fighting back against racism. And I mean, we know so many more things now that none of us knew then, but nothing sat right with me. I just thought it was so wrong. Everything that was happening, it was just wrong. It was just wrong. And everyone was going along with it. And if you had anything to say about all of the ridiculous measures that everyone was taking, like the damn stickers on the floor in grocery stores, and everything was just so stupid to me. And I couldn't wrap my head around the fact that all of these comedians who were supposed to be like the rebels, the free thinkers, that would, you would think would stand up against all of that madness, were being the mouthpieces for it. They were advocating for it, and they were morally like shaming people for not thinking the right way about COVID or about, racism, like this career thug criminal. I just thought it was all bullshit, and I started speaking out against it, and I thought everyone was stupid, and I got ratioed. But eventually, through intellectual dark web kind of podcasts like Brett Weinstein and just some unconventional thought type people, I kind of found a new tribe of people that were like-minded like me, that were saying to themselves, what the hell is going on? Like this mass formation psychosis is just, it's galling. I couldn't. Yeah. And so then when I basically canceled myself by saying what I thought, I was I was comfortable just going full throttle. It's like, okay, I guess we were never friends to begin with if you're going to defriend me over something like this.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting how that happens. And you were talking about just like the dramatic things that happened during that time. And yes, like the pandemic was a big thing. And I think what I'm taking away from what you're saying is, let's even grant that like everything that happened ultimately, let's say it needed to happen, right? Everything that happened. But the importance of having that voice in the room to go, but what if it doesn't?
Uh-huh.
Like like we need, because this is such a drastic thing that's going to happen, that means you can't have it just be a drastic action and happen in a vacuum and not have dominoes fall in other places. And are we as a society willing to pay that cost? Right. And I think one thing that I took out of that time was, it is important to have that voice in the room, or that voice in the country or as a community, to go, hold on, like let's pause. Here are some things that I see might not be a good idea, and let's actually have a debate about this. Right. And that has actually been one thing that I have seen been shut down a ton lately, and about big issues, huge issues. Now, another thing that you had said too was, you were helping your dad, and if it was just a random person who was a conservative asking you to work for them, you probably would have said no, is what I'm probably.
Gosh, that's a good question. No one's ever asked me that before. I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. Definitely. I don't know, because I was definitely like, I'm one of the good guys. I'm, I vote blue because that's what good people do, and Republicans are bad, Republicans are evil, and yeah. And it's funny because I actually still talk to former Governor Owens pretty regularly, and he just had he's had a fun time watching me go through my political journey, because it's like he hired me. Well, he didn't personally hire me, but like he knew that like I didn't go along with any of the GOP ideas, and it's been funny to see him go through my political journey, as it were. It's like I used to think a certain way because I was just really embarrassingly uninformed, and I used to think a certain way because I hadn't really thought about like the biggest, most contentious issues really deeply, Yeah. I'm not sure if that answers your question.
No. Yeah, no, it does for sure, because I think it's fascinating that the answer just wasn't no out the gate, where it's like, oh no, if a Republican would have asked me to work for them, I would have said absolutely not. But because it was my dad, that's the only reason why I said yes, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
I think that's interesting. I also think the other part of your story that was fascinating was like kind of like the look behind the curtain of getting to meet people who you disagree with, and go, oh, these people like genuinely think this is the right thing.
Yeah. They're not the monsters I thought they were. Like, now I'm starting to understand why they think these things about, the big trigger issues, like why they're anti-abortion, why they're anti-immigration, why they are for lower taxes, why they want, if there's any more regulation on anything, it should definitely be like, what makes somebody eligible for social safety net programs and stuff like that.
Yeah. Was there a time, was there a moment or a person who you can kind of attribute to being that first person outside of your dad, of being like, oh, this person's a good person. I know that this person's genuine about what they believe, and even though I disagree with them, they're one of the good people on the other side.
Not anyone that I met. It was more like there was this one time that I had this because my husband has always been very conservative, which is funny because now I'm like more based than he is, but seriously. But we were we were a little deep in the cups, and we were having a bit of a drunko debate, and
row, as it were.
He said, do the Jordan Peterson exercise, like steel man what I'm trying to say. And I was like, who the fuck is Jordan Peterson? I had no idea who he was at the time. And so I looked him up, and then I realized that he had been working very closely with probably like one of my biggest heroes, who is Ayaan Hirsi Ali. She's a
Uh-huh.
Somalian-born immigrant. She's now a U.S. citizen, but she's been one of the biggest voices to try to warn the Western world about the Islamification of, like what their intent is and what actually happens in these third world countries, in these, dominantly Muslim third world countries. She was the survivor of FGM and, forced arranged marriage, and she even like committed anyway. He was working with her, and so I was like, okay, well, I'm a fan of Ayaan Hirsi Ali, so maybe I'll listen to some of the stuff that Jordan Peterson has to say. And then I don't know if you've seen the Kathy Newman debate,
Yeah.
but that blew me out of the water because I started watching it wanting to be on her side for all the things that she was doing.
Yeah.
And like the points that she was trying to make, and like this sort of third wave feminism crap. And I watched the whole thing, and I was like, he's right. He's right. He's right about everything that he's saying. Like just the way that he was countering everything that she was saying, and was able to calmly, and I mean, at one point he starts laughing because he's like, this is so ridiculous. But if you actually listen to their debate and you are judging the debate on the merits of what they're saying, he absolutely destroys her. And that's why I think that debate went so viral. But it was like, that was the tipping point for me. I was like, I think that I kind of have a wrong worldview about everything. And it sucks because it's embarrassing, and you have to humble yourself enough to admit that you were probably wrong about a lot of things. And yeah, so it was more just because everyone was so isolated at the time. It wasn't people that I was meeting, although I do tend to, in like a personal setting, I would get along really well with the sort of cowboy type Republican legislators and lobbyists and stuff. But I didn't really get a chance to interact with most of them at the time, just because the world shut down. Mm-hmm. So I just sought, information, and I just kept digging and digging and digging. And I had the luxury of the time to be able to do that. And I was like, yeah, all the ideas I had about everything, they're just, I was wrong. I was fucking wrong.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know. I didn't ask you if I can cuss, and just, it's kind of my way.
Well, well, now I have to mark the episode, explicit, not for kids. So, I mean, thank you. No, it's okay. We won't lose sponsors or anything. Now, with that, because there was so much there, particularly because there is so much information out there, and kind of once you get rocked with, whoa, so my worldview was wrong, that doesn't automatically mean that it's replaced by something.
Right.
Like,
well, you go through a grieving process first. It really is almost like someone dies, and you have to accept that, okay, so it slowly gets filled with sort of new ideas, but it doesn't happen immediately. It's like, okay, I was wrong about this. I hadn't thought about it this way. And then it slowly builds, and then you get angry. You get angry because you realize how much you've been lied to, or you've been fed all of this propaganda about, I mean, I could give you like a million examples of things like that, where it's like, I can see why they lied to me about this, and why other young women bought this bullshit. Like, I get it now, but now I'm mad. I'm mad because they knew exactly what they were doing.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think former liberals are like way angrier than lifelong conservatives, because we're pissed that we bought it. Yeah.
And so because of that, and because it's happened once, do you have any safeguards or any way that you protect yourself to continually check your worldview? Like, that way it doesn't happen just on the other side. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, sure. Yeah. No, I mean, I think part of what, and my husband would even vouch for this, like, as soon as the world shut down and everything went nuts, and I was like, this is not right. I don't know exactly what's going on, but something really sinister is happening right now.
Uh-huh.
I think that people like me who have been, in really manipulative, abusive relationships, and they've gotten away from it, they're able to smell bullshit much faster than most people.
Okay.
And none of it was checking for me. It just, just all of like the coercion to get the jab, like all of this, I was just like, something's not right. Like, I'm not buying any of this. And I was probably the only one, definitely, like, in my own family, in my friend, circles, certainly with other comedians and other peers and stuff. But I was like, this is bullshit. This is wrong. Something else is going on right now.
Uh-huh.
I think when you have experienced, the level of betrayal and abuse, like, that which doesn't kill us makes us stronger. It just, like, gave me the wits to see it before a lot of other people did, I think.
Yeah. So to have, like, more confidence in your intuition, if something beeps.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, listen to it.
Yeah. Trusting your own gut is a gift that coming out of an abusive situation, I think, is granted to you.
How do you protect yourself from letting, because once you go down this rabbit hole, and I'm completely guilty of letting myself be like, politics. I mean, I used to be, I was a lobbyist at the state capitol, like we were talking, doing that. And I spent a good portion of my life in politics as a profession. And then, now I'm in the tech field, which is why I tell people now I have these glasses and these tattoos. That's what happens when you're in the tech field for as long. But how do you protect yourself from just being like, all right, I need to detach from whatever, and I need to be a mom, or I need to be a wife, or I need to handle my world instead of try to handle the world first. How do you handle that kind of balancing act?
Well, it was kind of I want to say, like, sort of thrust on me. I didn't want to be ousted from the Denver comedy scene. It just, like, because I couldn't shut up, that's just the way it happened. So it sort of worked itself out in that way. And
okay.
And like I said, finding other like-minded people that were saying, like, what the hell's going on, that was my new hobby, basically, was just finding other people that, like, had the same reaction to all of the madness. But just really sort of honing into motherhood and being a wife and, a housekeeper. It's like, I didn't make a conscious decision to do those things. It just kind of happened that way because I got kicked out.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Is it? I mean, I actually think that's pretty profound too, because when things get rocked, you kind of have to go down to what's important.
Exactly.
And all the stuff that isn't important, when that kind of shakes, you have to put your confidence in something. You have to be able to go, well, what's in my hand? And fundamentally, what's in your hand is the tribe within the four walls, kind of a thing.
And it's also, not to keep, beating that point into the ground, but it's, clean your own room, like, get your own life in order. You can't fix everything that's going on. You can't wake everybody up, but you can clean your own room. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that there is a principle to that, because when you're able to, like you say, clean your own room, then all of a sudden you start noticing the kitchen's dirty. Then you start noticing, that the attic can be organized. And then you start looking at, like, your neighbor needs help.
Right.
And your neighbor needs help, and they might have voted a different way that you did. But who cares? That's your neighbor.
Yeah.
who lives right next to you. And I think like we were kind of talking before we hit record. I think that is probably the most important casualty in all this, is that most people don't even know their neighbors' names, much less care about them enough to have their phone number if something weird was going on at their house.
Right. Yeah, that's true. It's very true. I know my neighbors' names.
Yes.
we have each other's phone numbers.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think that's it's kind of a symptom of I think Matt Walsh was talking about this, just how the the the, the decline of having a high trust society, and people's fences get built up higher, and people's there's a lot of my friends I know couldn't tell you what their neighbors' names is, like, with a gun to their head.
Yeah.
I think that's just, it's just sort of like a isolationist sort of thing that I want to, like, it definitely started happening before COVID.
Oh yeah. I mean, absolutely. And just to like kind of case in point for you, because you were talking about, being a single mom and having to take all that on. I was talking to somebody the other day and talking about how, like, even if there is a mom and a dad together, if you go back when we were high trust society, parenting was never like put on just two people.
Mm-hmm.
Like even disciplining, if your neighbor saw your kid down the street picking on somebody, that person had every right to, and there was an expectation, grab your kid by the ear, bring him up to your porch and say, little Johnny was doing blah, 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 and if that neighbor didn't do that, it'd be like, well, you saw them picking on someone, like, why didn't you grab them and bring them, And it was like, aunties, uncles, cousins, like it was a community thing. But because we don't live in a high trust society, now all of that responsibility falls on the single mom, or even on the two parents, to try to do it. And we weren't built to be able to do that. And so for me, it makes complete sense that we have mental illness the way that we do, why like parenting is all over the place, and we have to try to be helicopter parents because all of the pressure is on us. We don't have 16 set of eyes of all the other parents in the neighborhood looking after everybody's kids. Yep. It's all on us, because if our kid were to get hurt, everybody else would just pass by them. And I mean, you see the videos of like a woman getting robbed and people just looking. Yeah. Like, that is not the way society
used to be.
Is supposed to happen,
Yeah. I'm 100%. I think that's funny. Dave Landau has a really funny joke about how when he was a kid, hit some kid with a brick because like they thought it would be kind of like Looney Tunes.
As kids will do.
Yeah. And instead, like, obviously it knocks the kid out, and then this group of young kids are like, well, I don't want to get in trouble. So they just like buried a bunch of leaves around him. And then, like his dad comes home and they were in like the backyard, and he's like, stumbles out of the leaves, like, blood coming out of his head. And he's like, what the hell happened? And then he's like, and then he punches me in the face. And I go home to my dad, who's a Vietnam vet, which means he's all fuzzy and warm and compassionate. It's like, Mr. Wrangler or whatever his name is, you punched me in the face. He's like, well, why? Like, and then I told him, and he said, good.
I definitely, we don't live in that society anymore. And, it's when things change. I think that when we're talking about politics, like and you brought up Jordan Peterson, and I know he has this philosophy too. Like, the right and left both serve a very important function of it. And, the left makes sure that needed changes happen. Mm-hmm. And the conservative side makes sure that the truths stays. And what needs to be conserved. Yeah. What needs to be conserved, doesn't change. Yeah, and, it's, if we can't have those debates, And the fact that somebody thinks that something needs to change or somebody thinks that something's worth preserving means that they're evil.
Yeah.
Things are going to go very bad very quick, and our society is going to swing left way over here and then swing right way over here because they won an election and now have a mandate to essentially do everything,
Yeah.
right? When that might not be necessarily the case.
That's a really good way of putting it. Yeah. Yeah. And that's what is causing extremism, if you want to put it that way, on both sides. Honestly, at this point, although the right seems like way more fractured than the left does. The left seems to sort of be on the same page about most stuff.
Yeah. I mean, there definitely is a lot of debate if you look at the media and all of that on the right. It'll be fascinating to see how everything unfolds. Do you think, what is probably the best thing that has happened for you in going through and I'm not sure if this is the right word for it, going through the painful experience of rebuilding your worldview?
The red pilling process, yeah, I'd definitely say probably the most advantageous thing about it is that I was able to break the feeling of or sort of like the worldview, the get out of jail free, like victimhood mentality. It really, once you can stop blaming everything around you and every, when you start to see that, the sort of Marxist mentality of everything is a power structure. It's always the oppressed versus the oppressors. You don't realize that that's kind of your worldview until you break free from it. And the problem is that usually people that have a victim complex mentality, they don't have it for no reason. They're like, there was at one point a time where they were legitimately victimized, but you kind of carry that weight with you. You carry that, you use it as like a weapon or an excuse for every single thing in your life. And once you can break out of that cycle and you really start to self-actualize your own self-agency and just how much good you can do the world, or just, even within your own family or your own community, getting out of that mindset is such a gift.
Yeah. And I mean, I think, and you've lived that too. I mean, you started comedy to kind of bring it around full circle. You started comedy as a way to kind of heal being in an abusive relationship, something that legitimately you were a victim of, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes breaking out of that mindset isn't necessarily saying that like, oh, not minimizing what happened, or not even necessarily saying I'm not a victim. It's just answering the question, what now?
Yeah, exactly.
Like what is my next step?
And what now? How do I move on from this? How do I, it's like, yeah, that sucked. That happened to me. It legitimately was wrong what happened, but now what? Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah. And for me, that's where I kind of plug in faith, because that is the only thing that informs me that even though this thing is not good, what happened, it is objectively horrible, that good can somehow come of it. It's not finding the silver lining in it. It's the fact that rain will help something grow.
Right. Yeah.
Like something useful will happen out of it.
Lemonade.
Yeah, right.
Which is exactly what I did. I mean, I used my situation to make a lot of money while I was doing comedy regularly anyway.
Yeah.
So.
That's awesome. Well, as we round the bend here, the last question on every episode is, we've learned a little bit about your story, comedy and what got you into comedy, and the experience of changing your mind politically and what that looks like. Some people are are going to hear your story and go, no, that's great for you, Jodee, like, good job. But I'm not in a position where I can necessarily speak my mind, or I'm not in a position, I don't know if I would be able to take the consequences of it. Even though I know something is wrong, it doesn't have to be political, like whatever, whatever I see is wrong. What encouragement would you give those people who are listening?
Yeah. I really hate to bring up Jordan Peterson again, but he said it really well. It's
only
like,
if you do this in his voice. Only if you do this in his voice.
Oh yeah, man. You just stay in your room.
Slay the dragon.
But when he says, what are the consequences of not speaking up? The consequences of not speaking up are so much worse than whatever like immediate things happen afterwards. And first of all, I haven't done anything extraordinary, so yeah, I am exceedingly average. I'm just mouthy on Facebook. That's pretty much that's it. But you would be surprised. People that are lifelong conservatives, they say to me, like, why do you even bother arguing with these people? And I'm like, because I know other people are reading. I know even if they're not liking or commenting, I know that they're reading. And I know that it works because I get DMs all the time. You're probably like the 50th person that sent me a DM and is like, wow, like, what's it like, so just like fear begets or breeds fear, courage breeds courage. And the more people that feel like they, have a duty to speak out against, evil and hypocrisy and insanity, it encourages other people to do the same. So yeah.
Okay, great. One last question. This one should be a short one. Is there anybody who on the left who you listen to, read, who you trust, who you can go, okay, yeah, if I want to hear the other side to keep if I want to hone my skill, this person is smart as anything, and I need to contend with whatever their arguments they would have if I want to strengthen my worldview. Is there anybody?
I think probably people would assume that I would say someone like John Fetterman. I don't agree with pretty much anything that he has to say, but I do appreciate that he does the thing that no other prominent leftist politician will do, which is, when things are egregiously like ridiculous, he has the balls to call it out. And I do think it's funny that, the one Democrat that I'm like, okay, I could have a conversation with him is like, the guy that has brain damage. Outside of that, most of the people that I follow on like IDW and stuff, like they all used to be leftists. Like everyone that I've even talked about in this podcast alone, they used to be on the left. So it's not that you can't reason with people on the left. It's just that there's such a like mind rot when you can go through the COVID insanity, the race riot insanity, and still, not have any kind of perspective. I think that sometimes they're so far gone in confirmation bias and just this. I guess I don't really know how to answer that, but I'm always willing to have a good faith debate with anyone on the left. I just don't think that is usually the game that they play, and that's not to say that people on the right don't do all the same dirty tricks and ad hominems and they're not having a good faith debate either. But yeah, it happens. No one prominent that anybody listening would know about, just like people on my page. Every now and again, there's a good debate that happens, but it's pretty rare.
Yeah, I really like what what you said in terms of the people who you would recommend for for any of you listening, intellectual dark web, if you were to look up those people, a lot of people have changed their minds on stuff. And I actually think that is good advice in terms of, if you want to trust what somebody says, listen to somebody who has changed their mind in a public way on big things.
Yep.
Because they have put their credibility on the line for something.
Yep.
And there are going to be those people who do it, and maybe some of them, I know it's an internet word, but like some of them might be grifters. But find somebody that you trust, right? Find somebody that you trust, and who can be that intellectual sparring partner where I believe XYZ. I'm going to go to the smartest person I know who believes ABC.
Right.
And make sure that I am actually right on this, and go through that exercise, because it's important.
Yeah, on that point, and I know we're about to get off, but I just want to wedge this in there. That's also the reason why when I talk to my kids about faith, or when I talk to just anyone about like Islam, or like I say, or even, you know, atheists or nihilists, it's like, if you want to understand faith, if you want to understand a religion, listen to the apostates and understand why. And the same could be said for, you know, people like C.S. Lewis, you know, the most unlikely convert. It's like, why did he abandon atheism? You know, it's like, why? Because I mean, atheism is like it's a religion all on its own. You know, people don't want to admit that, but yeah, I just wanted to say that, like, if you want to understand why someone left, you know, I'm like a liberal apostate, I guess, you know, and like also like an agnostic apostate. So if you really want to understand anything, the best thing to do is to listen to someone that did change their mind and understand why.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, if people wanted to find you online and learn more about you, where can they go?
Facebook, Twitter. I'm actually really, really easy to find.
All right. And what's the handle?
Twitter is Jodee Calm or Jodee Champion. I can't remember. It's funny. I'm neither of those things. Both my maiden and married name are the opposite of what I am, but, or Jodee Calm on Facebook, and I think Jodee Calm on Instagram. I don't know. It's either Champion or Calm. It's really easy to find. 2 E's.
And it's Jodee, not IE. And then, so look her up. And y'all, if you enjoyed this episode, be sure, leave a review, subscribe. And as you know, not because of that, but because there's a game to this thing called podcasting. And if you want people to hear these stories, remember to share. And also remember, this week, do something to make you proud of you, all right? All right, talk to you later.
Thanks, Isaac. Do I just press
all right, we got it. Yeah, you could go ahead and